Alrighty, what's up you guys? Welcome to another live stream of SHARKNEWZ Live, as today this was really not planned at all because I did stream last night talking about Fresh Monkey Fiction's Monster Force figures, and I honestly didn't think that there wasn't going to be anything for the next week or two. However, early this morning I was just scrolling, and then out of nowhere the GIJOE team decided to post a bunch of, or a few renders, and kind of, I guess we can say it's a April Fool's yet not April Fool's. But what is a joke is the fact that they gave us, what was it, 13 pre-orders in the past, maybe within like 2.5 to 3 weeks, and we're already hitting another possibly 2 more to 5 figures to pre-order, all within a course span of probably like 1 month. So that's what I find very, very interesting. Now, another thing that I want to share, which is actually really cool, is that it is actually raining outside, and what better way than to be in a cozy home and talk about action figures. So thank you to everyone who's going to be joining, either that's already in the chat right now or joining later, or who's going to be watching the replay. So thank you for joining on this, what is it, Tuesday, Wednesday? What, today's Wednesday, whatever it is, Wednesday. So shout out to Don Carlos 0627, says thanks for all the news, brother. Excited for Armored Cobra Commander. Yeah, I was very, very surprised that Armored Cobra Commander was going to be shown this early, and personally they should have just showed Armored Cobra Commander during the live stream last week, or whatever that was, March 18th. So technically like a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks later than they showed Cobra Commander. I was like, you might as well just shown the render then. It would have probably built more excitement for that live stream. Vil the Great, what's up, brother, with the shark emojis and the fist. We got Rachel Salinas, welcome. Hello to you as well, thank you for joining. Ionic Blood, the legend. I'm relaxing too, brother, so let's all relax together. It's going to be hopefully a good stream tonight. Vil the Great says peace to the planet. Hell yeah. Rachel says got my email today. Crystal Ball is supposed to ship on April 10th. Oh crap, that's pretty good. Congrats, Rachel. Post some photos, let's see how great the figure really is compared to those product shots. Christopher Bouchard says happy about a classified Armored Cobra Commander. Hell yeah. Armored Cobra Commander was actually my favorite Cobra Commander out of all the other Cobra Commanders that came out. I know that the original is going to be always the OG, and then the Hood Cobra Commander will always be, you know, like the most menacing Cobra Commander, but the armored version was always my favorite, just because there was always something about the silvers, the teal blues, and just the, I don't know, just the overall design of it. And that was my, I like to call that my definitive Cobra Commander. It just looks more menacing to me for some reason. What's up, Roland Mac? Thank you for joining. Benedict, how's it going? Thank you. 49er says yo shark with the shark emoji. Thank you for joining as well. We have Greg Archer, what's up? Says shark, and shout out to Greg for almost spelling my name correctly. But he's got the popcorn. Hell yeah, it's gonna be a popcorn kind of night. I'm pretty excited. I think the reveals were pretty decent for today. I will start showing the renders and talking about everything else in just a few, but how is everyone's day been? How is your or actually, let me hear what you guys think. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts on the reveals as a whole were, and then I'll definitely try to read it out. Let's see here. Ultra Mentish says, I'll finally get a major blood. That's definitely a great incentive for sure. We're definitely we're gonna talk about all that in the stream, and I'm just warming up for a bit. Vil the Great says, I like the armored Cobra Commander, but I already have a Cobra Commander. I can't do the double dip unless I'm troop building. So my philosophy when it comes to double dipping, or even Cobra Commander, for example, is that I always, my personal preference is only buying 3 Cobra Commanders. You just get one with the hood, you get one with the helmet, and then you get one with that's the armored. And I thought that would be my end all for Cobra Commanders. I don't think I need any other Cobra Commanders. And the only thing that's tricky is that they could easily re-release Cobra Commanders, as we've seen before with the HasLab HisTank Cobra Commander, and then out of nowhere we've got the retro Cobra Commander with the vac metal faceplate. So we're kind of in this sloppy or slippery slope with collecting classified, where we have FOMO, we want like definitive versions of these certain characters, and then out of nowhere they just kind of re-release it within some time frame, and then it's either better than the first version, or there's like some minor updates to it that kind of make you slight disappointed in wanting to sell your original to get the new updated one. But I think that's kind of the game we play as collectors. What's up, Russell Terrell? How's it going? And yes, first of all, I'm gonna try to make this live stream dedicated to Val Kilmer, who passed away yesterday or last night, early last night or late last night, and he was always considered to me one of the coolest Bruce Waynes in any of the Batman franchises. Say what you want about Joel Schumacher's Batmans with the neon color schemes, but I always thought Val Kilmer was really, I want to say spot on, but he just had a really cool demeanor to him with the long blonde locks, and like whenever he wore the turtleneck, and he just had like a sophisticated look to it. He kind of felt like a playboy, not really playboy, like he kind of looked the part of a billionaire kind of thing. So, because we know that George Clooney was and then Christian Bale was, I don't know, I thought he was like overhyped, and then Ben Affleck was okay. We all know that Adam West will forever be the greatest Bruce Wayne in that era, and then Michael Keaton will definitely be the most classic Bruce Wayne. But there's definitely something about Val Kilmer that kind of just, even though he was only in one movie, but it just kind of did pretty well for my liking and my taste as a Bruce Wayne. He just kind of like, at least compared to what the animated series had, it was pretty cool. So then we have, so Benedict says he was pleased. Russell Terrell says, I don't know, these were revealed. Derek Holloman, welcome to the chat. They're all bangers, says 49er. Vil says Monkeywrench and Major Blood. Claw for sure. Did I say hello, Russell? Maybe I did, I don't remember. We have Benedict with a 788 Major Blood. Yeah, so I didn't even realize that the color scheme of Major Blood has the 788 style to it. So yeah, we'll talk about that shortly. Derek Holloman says it's not double dipping if it's different outfits. That's true. I think people kind of, well, when people say double dipping, they kind of just meant like buying the same character multiple times. Doesn't really have to be like different outfits. It's more just like, oh, I already have a Cobra Commander, why do I need another one? So I think you can use the terminology, I guess, for your own preference for that matter. All good, Greg Archer. I definitely know you know how to spell it. Yes, rest in peace, Val. Nerd Alert says Cobra Commander has a snake eyes head portrait. Look close at the eyes, Greg. Yep. Greg says, I can't tell the difference between the armored Coco heads. What's the difference? So Greg, if you go to my community tab page on the SHARKNEWZ channel, just click the community tab page and look at the latest post that I did. You'll see that one Cobra Commander has the, the white eyes, the normal skin, and then the alternate head sculpt has the green scale skin with like the blue eyes, and we'll talk about that as we move forward. But let me see who else is in the chat. Craig N with the shark emojis. What's up? What's up? Oh, we got the legend Hal Jordan. How's it going? Oh, I forgot. Yeah, Hal Jordan's from Canada. Shout out to Hal from the Canadian side of the land. Russell Terrell says, I was on the fence about getting another major blood because I already have the Cobra Island one, but if this is his tank colors, then absolutely. I mean, do you think that the color scheme on major blood is an incentive enough to buy it twice? I mean, I understand the color red on it, but it's just I thought it was probably, I don't know. Let's get to it. So first of all, shout out to everybody here in the chat and those that are watching right now. Please don't forget to hit the like button. And if you're new, make sure you subscribe to the channel, because why not? Alright, so first and foremost, let's talk about, and get this out of the way, let's talk about the upcoming prototypes, leaks, waves, or whatever the hell situation that's been happening so far. So I eliminated most of the prototypes that were leaked in the past month, and according to the list that we have right now, as of confirmed figures and name-onlys that were revealed last time, we have the NIGHTFORCE, BEACHHEAD, and QUICKKICK, which was showcased during Toy Fair. We still haven't had any announcement or reveal from those two just yet. They were just showcased on display, so go ahead and check that out. You can probably Google it and find the photos, I suppose. And then the G.I. Joe team did confirm during the first fanstream event, which was March 18th, that there will be a Renegades 2-pack, so to speak, with Sergeant Slaughter again and a Mercer figure. So we went over this kind of during the last stream, or one of the last G.I. Joe streams. So to kind of brush up on the Renegades 2-pack kind of thing, a lot of people are kind of speculating which Sergeant Slaughter this one's going to be, because initially, if you just kind of disregard the price point for what this could be, if you just look at, I guess, concept-wise, I personally would have preferred Mercer to be in a 3-pack with Taurus and Red Dog, because that just would have been logical, because that's just how they appeared in the movie altogether. Because we already have a definitive Sergeant Slaughter with this black, black tank top, so don't know how they could really change that initial Sergeant Slaughter to kind of package it with Mercer. So I don't really know how I feel about that. But like Derek Holloman is saying, that supposedly Sarge is in his tan colors. So there is a Sergeant Slaughter where he is wearing tan and he has kind of like the reddish camo, or like the maroonish colored camo. So for me, that I feel like that's a little bit of a departure, because I'm kind of thinking in my mindset the Sergeant Slaughter that was just showcased from the 87 movie or the cartoon, and that probably would have been more appropriate to release with Mercer. But then again, why would they re-release that Sergeant anyway, right? Because unless people didn't want to get that. And then, but yeah, so regardless, I would just suppose that Mercer should have just came out in a 3-pack with the other 2 figures. Then that would have just been great. And that's another thing, because the thing I find interesting about the Sergeant Slaughter figure as well is what was I gonna say? You know, we already have the definitive Sergeant Slaughter with the black, and we still need to have the Sergeant Slaughter with the USA on his tank top, so, or you know, his T. So it's kind of one of those things where, in order to get Mercer, as Rachel Selena says, Sergeant's colors doesn't matter, but I need Mercer. It's one of those things where, in order to get a cool character from the Renegades, which, you know, Mercer is a pretty badass character. I like, you know, Mercer as a, you know, as a figure itself in the character. But in order to get a Mercer, you have to get another Sergeant Slaughter. So I think that's kind of a I mean, I think it's clever, but they could have just literally done it without Slaughter in general. But if they want to milk the concept of having the molds for him and just kind of reuse the body type and give us a figure that we already have just to get another new figure, then, you know, that's Hasbro being Hasbro, so can't really say too much about that. However, we did have I think it was on Weibo or Reddit or somebody, we had Mercer's torso leak, so like his vest. So that's the only leak that we have so far, is the torso leak for Mercer. And as of making this live stream, so the thing that's kind of confusing for me right now is, first of all, I am not full force. I don't have the inside scoop like he does. Obviously, he knows everything. He's just sugarcoating like he doesn't know anything. So let's put that out there. I personally don't know what the hell's going on, but according to all the rumors and speculations, it was supposedly said that Snake Eyes version 4 and Monkeywrench are in the next wave with Sci-Fi and Night Viper. Now, according to the latest G.I. Joe post that they did on the socials, they indicated that I believe Snake Eyes is going up for pre-order on April 15th alongside the Cobra Claw. Now, technically, I thought that if Snake Eyes is part of the wave with these other three figures, then traditionally they would have already revealed Sci-Fi and Night Viper as renders, and then that would have made more sense, because then all four of these figures would have went up for pre-order on April 15th. But with only having Snake Eyes going up for pre-order and then only a digital render, or digital renders for both Snake Eyes and Monkeywrench, but no idea of where Sci-Fi or Night Viper is, then maybe this wave could still be true, or maybe it could be a false rumor, speculation, or maybe the source was incorrect. So not really sure what's the situation happening with this particular wave, but that's pretty much why I put question marks next to that, because that was kind of like what the inside, or what most, you know, sources were saying of the next wave would have been Snake Eyes with Monkeywrench and Sci-Fi and Night Viper. So I guess we'll just have to see what April 15th will have to offer. Christopher says, the combat creatures will be shipping soon. Oh, that's exciting. I did pre-order the Shark one, the Sealock figure, so I will definitely review that on the channel. I can't wait. Thanks, Chris. Greg Archer says, I found the Cobra Island Blood at a local toy store for $40 2 years ago. Yeah, I mean, I think 40 is, well, back then the figures were 21, at least when Major Blood came out, he was a $21 figure, so paying 40 for it 2 years ago, I can understand why it's cheap. However, $40 now, I think that might be a little bit reasonable. Vil says, I'd rather get Sergeant Slaughter in his original outfit. Vil, do you mean the black outfit? Welcome Toy Odyssey to the chat. Says Monkeywrench and Major Blood are definitely buys. I'm not touching anything connected to the Deke series. Oh shoot, shots fired. The Mandalorian fan channel says, wonder what the color Sarge will be at this time. Maybe he will have the tank top that says USA in the front. So according to the chat, they're saying that it's supposedly going to be the beige version. I think that's a bit of a departure to have with this kind of Mercer figure. So if they release the USA version, then that would be a lot more iconic, or it would make more sense, because the tan version with a regular Mercer, I don't see any logical reasoning behind that. But the USA version, then sure, that would make more sense. Wilfredo Diaz welcomes with the shark emoji, says good evening here tonight, or everyone here tonight. Black outfit, okay. $40 is fine. He's easily one of the best unclassified. I agree. So we'll get back to these figures at some point. Again, I don't know what's happening with the upcoming wave, but I guess we'll see what happens on April 15th for that matter. The Nerd Alert says the USA version will probably come with a vehicle if they do it. Oh, that's true. The Triple T tank. That would make yeah, that would make sense too. I mean, what would you guys prefer? Would you guys rather have the tan version be with this Mercer, or would you rather have the USA version be with this Mercer? Or would you rather have the USA version of Sergeant Slaughter be with the Triple T vehicle? Or would you not mind getting the same figure like twice, I guess? Benedict says, I just rewatched Operation Dragonfire. It is actually pretty good compared to the rest of the Deke series. Scoop sucks though. Scoop is, I don't know if Mr. Sampson is in the chat, but I know he hates him with a passion, but when I saw the Deke series, I saw that I think Scoop had one of the more bigger betrayals in G.I. Joe. Like, I did not see that coming, and I thought that was a pretty good storyline. So I agree with you on that. Greg Archer says Scoop does suck, but classified can make him cool. Yeah, I mean, I would get a Scoop figure. Scoop's cool. Or I like to call him the bitch ass Scoop. Rachel Selena says, I'm still hoping for the USA version with the classified Triple T. I mean, that could definitely, I could see that happening. So honestly, I literally forgot about the Triple T tank. So I guess maybe the tan version would be more ideal with Mercer, or I don't know, whatever. I don't know. It's just, it would just really suck if they do the tan version instead. Crazy to see a girl talking things like this. So Moakam is applauding Rachel because, yeah, I think Rachel is the only one that's not a male here probably on the chat. So shout out to Rachel. Roland Max says Night Viper top 20 for me all time back in the day with that flip down mask. And yes. Yeah, so like I said before, for Night Viper, I will hardcore analyze that figure like no other, because Night Viper has always been one of my favorite Cobras in my top like 5 or 3. So I'm gonna nitpick the hell out of that figure, because if it's your favorite figure, I think you have the right to, you know, share your opinions on how much like a figure can like either be up to your expectations or extremely disappointing. Because for me, for a figure to be really disappointing for Night Viper, if I see anything remotely close to an Alley Viper reuse, I'll immediately take off points. I just want to see a brand new sculpt for Night Viper. That's all I'm saying. Greg says, I've been waiting for a Night Viper for 3 years and hope he's not changed. Yeah, I mean, Night Viper just has so much aesthetic to him that he really needs to like literally shine on his own without I mean, there could be minor reuses, which is Hasbro doing Hasbro kind of stuff, but I need it to look enough to look really good. Let's see here. Retaliation did put out a good Night Viper. But yeah, so other than that, with these particular leaks or name onlys and confirmed, we'll see what happens on April 15th. But we'll come back to this list on a future live stream, as we will edit a lot of the other names from here and see what else comes, because we're technically caught up with the leaks that happened already. So once the Mercer comes out, we pretty much won't have any leaks yet unless something else comes out, and then we'll do a live stream later. Etok Deck, sorry if I said that wrong, says, I want them to finish the original 13. I'm glad we are getting the Hawk. Yes, the Hawk with the MMS looks pretty dope. Alright, so we'll come back to that later. So now let's go ahead and talk about today's render reveals. So the first one we have here is none other than Monkeywrench. So before I talk about it, you guys let me know in the chat what you think about this figure. Share your thoughts. Let's see here. Nerd Alert says, I wonder what reused parts will be used for sci-fi. He's gonna be interesting. Yeah, even for sci-fi, he has a particular style to him that should not be anywhere close to reused parts. Roland Max says Night Viper is going to be reused, Beachhead, Firefly, and more weapons and colors. Well, because Night Viper has the visor piece that connects to the top of his head, kind of like how Alley Viper's helmet piece is, I have no doubt that they're probably going to reuse that head sculpt, the mask version, like that, the inner mask for Alley Viper, and then kind of tweak the you know, the helmet, of course, and then possibly, I mean, I don't know what, I mean, they could use like Beachhead or even other stuff or arms, maybe Firefly too, but I don't know. Greg says sci-fi needs to be a new mold. I agree. Alright, so Etok Deck says great. Roland Max says cop. Snowglare, welcome to the chat, says looks like a must-have. Vil the Great with the fire emojis. Derek Halman says I love it. He's my second favorite. Ionic Blood says I need him. Mockcom says Greg Major Blood. I don't know what that's referring to. Rachel says Monkeywrench stole Star-Lord's mask. Oh yeah. They were swapping with Marvel on that one. Benedict says the team nailed it with this one. Nerd Alert says I love Monkey. I love that pistol. Could care less about everything else. Vil the Great says been waiting on Monkeywrench for a while. Derek says the only thing I don't like is the mask. I mean, the mask is pretty cool. I mean, it's, yeah, I can see similarities to Star-Lord, but I think it just looks weird because I think that black hole that we see for the mouth, I don't think that's an actual black piece. I think that could be where you're going to see his actual like lips and stuff. So there's a really good chance that we could see a skin tone underneath that piece, which might make the figure a little bit better. And on top of that, it looks like he does come with the removable hair. So it looks like there's a lot more to it than what it appears to be. Let's see here. Ionic Blood says the hair and glasses swap. It kind of would suck if the glasses are removable, because we've seen with Buzz and Ripper, how the glasses are like not the best, and then we've seen that with Torch's glasses they are not removable, and then with Monkeywrench, I don't know what they would technically do. I don't think it would be removable because they probably learned their lesson from it. But based on the extra hairpiece that we see with the mask, there's a really good chance that that you could probably lift the hairpiece and then place the mask first, and then utilize the other alternate hairpiece, kind of like how Lady J's head sculpt is with the hat and the little extra hairpiece. Let's see here. Greg says Monkeywrench is dope except for those extra heads. I hate those axes. I mean, the funny thing, or the really interesting nod, is even though he does come with that axe, the bottom half of the axe is literally a wrench. So I thought that was a pretty cool nod to an actual piece of hardware. So, or like a tool. So that makes it makes sense. You chop shit down and then you take out your wrench on the other end, so makes sense to me. And then he's got the trident gun, the pistol, all that fine. The same mask, I mean the handkerchief probably utilized for the Vipers that we've seen previously. I don't necessarily know what that oh, maybe that's a bandana piece for his mouth, possibly. Derek says if we just had context for the mask. I think it's kind of similar to how we technically didn't even have context for the Darklon figure mask as well. So really good chance that this one is just to kind of give you more bang for your buck, I suppose. Rachel says Dreadnoks are an instant buy. Monkeywrench doesn't disappoint. That's true. I mean, I think this is the first Dreadnok figure where I actually love the bottom half of the figure. I mean, thank God we don't have knee pads, but he does have the red handkerchiefs on the what do you call it, the shins, and then the ripped jeans looks really good, and then that one side holster is cool, and then hopefully the chains are a little bit more silvery than like that dull gray. But somebody did mention in my SHARKNEWZ video that Monkeywrench has more of a bulkier biceps and forearms, and the more I look at it, the more I see it, but maybe it's not too bad. However, the more I just keep looking at it, then I kind of see it, or I can't unsee it. Let's see here. Now I gotta catch up with the chat. Wilfredo says, I think he looks cool. I like his axe made for the pair of wrenches. Agreed. Nerd Alert says they gave Roadpig a mask too because he's so geeky looking. I mean, personally, I think Roadpig is probably the weakest face sculpt out of all the Dreadnoks because he just looks way too cartoony. So the mask is probably a lot better. Yes, I agree, Greg Archer. Roadpig's mask is a must for that figure. Hurricane Live, Hurricane Live Live, sorry, I keep botching your name. Would rather have a head and without glasses. They are just better. I mean, unless they actually figure out a way they could create a figure where the glasses can kind of stay on the face without falling off like how Buzzer and Rippers are, then it's, you know, then hopefully. But I don't think his glasses are removable. Or maybe it is, because then you would have to put the mask over the head sculpt. Well, no, then you would... No, hold on. Maybe the glasses are removable because you would have to remove the glasses, then remove the hair, and then put the mask, the new mask, over the head sculpt, because you can't put that mask over the glasses. And it clearly shows that there's no alternate headpiece inside the mask. Therefore, the glasses may be removable in order to have the red and blue goggles, whatever the hell that mask is wearing, and then you fit the hair piece on top. So I think, yeah, so I think the glasses might be removable for that matter. Let's see here. Okay, Nerd Alert says no more removable glasses. Got it right with Doc, but he would have looked better with straight green lenses and no eyes showing. Just my thoughts. Doc's glasses were transparent. I thought they were green. Odds Mods, welcome to the chat. Says, can't wait to finish the core Dreadnoks. These guys were a must in GI Joe adventures. And my nephew has had kids. I hope everyone is doing well. I'm doing well, thank you. I hope you're doing well, Odds Mods. Nerd Alert says Monkey is going to look great with the Valaverse weaponry. Oh, that would be sick. Greg Archer says definitely no more removable glasses. They sure did do it right with Torch. True. But Solo Center says, what's up, Shark with the fist? What's up, Solo? Thank you so much for joining in the chat. The legend Solo Center. I believe Solo Center is also from Canada. So we have, if Hal Jordan is still in here, then we got 2 Canadians. Rachel says, can you dodge a wrench? She's got jokes. Dark Long is a hard pass, says Etog Deck. Nerd Alert says, I love Monkeywrench's wrench pants. The OG too, he looks like a really bad dude. Yeah, I mean, I think out of all the Dreadnoks, I think Monkeywrench probably did it the best for me. I would have loved Torch, but because Torch had Dr. Mindbender's boots, I think that kind of didn't do it for me. It was close, but it didn't. I think the upper half of Torch did well, but the bottom half didn't really do well. Let's see here. I just need a motorcycles with the Dreadnoks. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Well, will Hasbro make motorcycles for the Dreadnoks is a good question. Says Etok Deck. Greg says Dark Long is a hard pass. Hurricane says, I'm wondering if the jeans are molded deco or just paint. Gotta be molded. I think at this point in the Hasbro career that the rips have to be molded. Definitely, it would be very, very underwhelming if they were just decoed, but I think they're molded for sure. Maybe the glasses are attached to the hair, says Derek Holloman. Like attached to the hair, that would be kind of weird, because then you pick up the hair and then the glasses are like stuck on there. But because then what if the frames for the glasses like breaks off too or something? Ultra Mentish says the glasses are connected to the hair just like the mask is. Okay, I mean, if you guys are confirming it, then I guess it is. Greg Archer says, I think it's a swappable head and not a mask. So the reason why, I mean, even if it is a head sculpt, but the reason why I'm saying it's not an actual head sculpt is because there's a big gap between the actual hairpiece and then the eyes of the mask, and then we have that whole black mouthpiece, which would kind of look weird if they actually did color it. So my initial thoughts are it's probably just a mask with an alternate hair. But if it is an alternate actual head sculpt, then that would be interesting. Rachel says we need a classified Dreadnok trike. Trike. I mean, if you guys actually looked on Google, there's so many like Dreadnoks that they haven't even covered yet. I mean, there's still what was it? The other ones, Zanya. She still needs to be made. I think Zanya is gonna look really awesome because she has like the green dreads. She's gonna look freaking sick. Odd Mods says the Road Pig head sculpt reminds me of a guy I used to work with. Can't unsee it, so on the shelf. I mean, that sucks. I think half of the classified figures just look like Lenny at this point. Vil the Great says, I'm waiting on April 15th. I thought April 15th was actually next week, but we still got a long wait. It's like almost 2 weeks, which sucks. Solo Sinner says, yep. Well, shout out to Solo Sinner. the Canadian legend on the channel. Etalk says, why does every face sculpt have to be perfect? I like the bat sculpture because it shows everyone is different. I think I'm the only one that likes Falcon's face because it's different. No. So I agree with you that figures head sculpts don't need to be perfect. They just need to look decent to good. However, Falcon though is just like, it just looks really bad. Like I feel like I think all the other face sculpts that they did for Classified, whether or not you know, some are preferred or not, like so hold on, I'm trying to see how to make this say this better. I think it's because I have like a specific vision in my head where I want the figures to really look in unison. Therefore, using the Dreadnoks as an example, when you have figures like Torch and Buzzer and Ripper all together with Zartan and Zarana, you'll see that they kind of have like this aesthetic to it, which kind of makes sense. But then you put Road Pig in there, and Road Pig looks like a cartoon character. And then you have Monkeywrench here, who looks pretty awesome, so I have no complaints there. But then you have Xandar, who looks like a pretty boy that works at Hot Topic. So no shots fired, just saying. So I think it's like some, and Xandar also looks like he's from an anime show, you know, like a cartoon, which is not a bad thing, but it's like they kind of all have like this not so unison look to it. Whereas if it's like a group of characters, the Dreadnoks are technically supposed to be these roughed up, odd looking dudes who are kind of like, you know, belching, like scratching their ears, picking their nose, and they're just like slobs, right? With like facial hair and like chest hair and kind of like just like doofuses to an extent, like a biker gang, right? Or even a cool biker gang for that matter. But because the Classified figures, they don't necessarily, they all don't capture that certain aesthetic, and that's what and I'm just talking about the faces, not the body types. So that's my consensus on why faces need to look not perfect, but they just need to look like, put some effort into it so it doesn't look much of a departure within the group. Because again, if you put all the Dreadnoks together, you're going to see a lot of their, like, they look all like I mean, they're supposed to be different, but it's like some look real, others look cartoony, and it's just like, it's kind of a little messier situation. Benedict says Road Pig looks like a Street Fighter background jobber. That's funny. Ultra says because everybody wants a 112 scale hot toy. That, yeah, maybe. Avil says Falcon is bad, that's why it got changed within the 2-pack. True. The most recent head sculpts, they've knocked them out of the park in my opinion, says Greg. Benedict says Falcon's body, accessories, and faces are terrible. Edok says the Falcon is ugly like a bulldog. Ultra says Falcon's face is derp. Starduster looks like a Justin Trudeau, says Ultra. Xandar says, oh, Benedict says Xandar looks like a One Piece anime character. Val Vader guy, welcome to the chat, says game on for Monkeywrench. Zarana is the best. That figure never gets old. Yeah, Zarana is pretty cool. I think she's pretty classy. The original Classified Duke looks like a QB Josh McCown, says Ultra. Benedict says the Classified Dreadnoks look really random altogether. Ultra says Leatherneck looks like Dick Buttkiss. Outback Gang. A Romo says, "What's up, shark emoji?" and more. Russell Terrell, I just read that Outback. A Romo says, "My homie, what's up, brother? Thank you for joining." Ralph Vader guy says, "Get those thumbs up, sharkies." Yes, please do like this video if you haven't done so yet. It would definitely help with the channel and algorithm. Buzzer is easily the worst classified dreadnought. Buzzer. Yeah, I don't know about worst. Oh, well, you're saying classified dreadnought. Okay. Maybe I think Buzzer is probably just because Buzzer utilizes the Arctic back what is it? The holsters, and then the glasses was kind of not that good, and then he has like that Dale Griffin from from King of the Hill face. So so I think it's kind of like a hit and miss at some points. Etalk says, "Glad you're back, Shark. Keep up the great work." I'm trying, brother. Thank you so much. I appreciate the support. A Romo says, "Did I miss much?" No, actually, we just went over the prototypes and leaks and stuff, but we're just talking about the first render reveal, which was Monkeywrench. So we just started technically. Everyone, Russell says, "Everyone in this chat, go hit that like button for Shark. Do it now. Do it. Do it. Do it." Nerd Alert says, "I just noticed he has fist. He might be the only dreadnought with that accessory. The other dreadnoughts don't come with the fist." Interesting. I guess they're all like open hands, I suppose. All right, but anyways, so I guess we can all pretty much confirm or agree that Monkeywrench looks really awesome. Therefore, that's good. So good job, Monkeywrench. You are a welcoming addition into Classified, as everyone in the chat is mostly very, very, very happy about it. So bravo to the GI Joe team for making a really awesome figure in the Classified line. All right, up next, let's see who we have here. We have none other than Major Blood. All right, chat, don't disappoint me. Share your thoughts. I have a lot to say about this one, so let's see where your thoughts are with this. '49er says, "What happened to Sci-Fi?" They haven't really announced him, nor did they reveal anything for Sci-Fi. Right now, it's only speculated or rumored or confirmed that he's supposed to be in the next wave with Monkeywrench and Snake Eyes, but we haven't really seen anything about it. '49er says, "WG, I don't know what that means." Sorry. Greg says, "I never use fists." That's actually true. I don't think I've utilized the fists in my figures for those that came with it. Alright, so according to the chat, Vil the Great is giving spark emojis, so he must really like it. '49er says, oh, I already read that one, sorry. Ralph Vader guy says, "Major downgrade." Shots fired from Ralph Vader guy, but Vil the Great is counterattacking it with a fire emoji. Jason says it is not vintage. Vil the Great says, "Hell yeah." Todd C, welcome to the chat, says, "Glad it didn't change much. Don't need to replace the original." So I'll come back to that comment shortly. Jason says it is a reissue, so okay. The Toy Odyssey says, "What's with the red on his robotic arms? Seems so wrong." So apparently, I can't confirm this because I don't know myself, but the chat earlier stated that the red is becoming more in unison with the 788 Fire team. That could be a stretch. However, I'll get to that when I talk about it, but I want to continue with the chat real quick. Etalk says, not sure about this one. The red and browns seem off. Greg Archer says, are those the OG boots? I honestly don't even remember what the original boots look like. Nerd Alert says, he's really not that much different. I still love the Island one. Might grab this one too. I would have appreciated his traditional eye patch, says Ultra. Oh yeah, okay, hold on. You guys are coming up with some valid points here. There should have been a Toon head sculpt, says Ionic Blood. Very on point. Ralph Vader guy says, let's go back to Monkeywrench. I bet the Thunder Machine will be revealed next year since Monkey is the last one released. I mean, we still have, what's the other guy? Thrasher and some of the other ones. Rachel says, I'm going to wait to see Major Blood. I have the Cobra Island version. But 49er says, cool. Greg says, I like the colors. I'll pick them up. Roland says, it's cool, but still wanted something different. It's exactly the same. What the F? Corey Robinson, I think this is your first time here on the chat. Not sure, but I'm so excited. I finally have a chance of getting him. Don't really care that he's not the vintage, as I prefer a more recent take on him. Solo says, oh no, this Major Blood ain't it. I don't know why they topped the original Cobra Island one. So you guys are mostly all in the same consensus of where I'm thinking, but I still want to read the chat before I share my thoughts. A. Romo says he looks badass, Shark. With the shark emoji. Nerd Alert says it's really just the same figure with 788 colors. Ralph says still looks cool. Why not go all retro to differentiate? Vil says that gun on the bottom is fire. I think it's the same gun that the first one came out with. I think so. Todd C says reminds me of Chad from Bleach. They need to do him in the retro. Pops especially cartoon looks, says Nerd. Thrasher the driver. Russell says, I'm glad this is going to be a mainline release, so those who missed the first one can get it. I may have to pass now, seeing there's no difference. Missed opportunity not to include Baroness Panties. You know, she cheated on Destro when... Oh, that's funny, Jason. Alright, so now let me share my thoughts. You may disagree with me, but that's okay. That's why we're all in the chat. So here are my thoughts on this figure. The Cobra Island Major Blood figure, as I mentioned numerous times, is by far in the top 3 best classified figures to ever be released. Now, I actually do have the figure, so I absolutely love that figure. Even if it's like muted, it still had it still had like that cool updated version of Major Blood, and it was like a really updated look to it to bring into the classified line. Now, the thing with this Major Blood is, so the upside to this figure is that I am happy for those who didn't get a chance to get the original Cobra Island one, because now you can have a chance to get a Major Blood, because he, like most people are saying, he's literally like 98% the same as the original version. Now, the downfall for this figure is that they didn't really change the head sculpt, which, you know, again, it's a great head sculpt, but as a re-release of Major Blood, I felt like it should have been not near what the Cobra Island one, and if it was the Cobra Island one, maybe they could have just changed the colors a little bit in terms of keeping it the same as the Cobra Island version, but just get rid of the reds. So if the reds are still part of the 788 fire team, as most are speculating, then that's one thing. But the mechanical arm that the Cobra Island one version came with is awesome, and it's superior. The browns are definitely lighter, and I think it's new boots. I'm not too sure. Weapons are all the same, so there's nothing new there. When they first announced Major Blood, or even when he was leaked as a prototype, my initial thoughts were they were going to do the cartoon colors with the blues and grays and this light brown. So that means there's still a chance that we could get another Major Blood in the cartoon colors. But the fact that they re-released the Cobra Island one, which is fine because again it gives people a chance to get it, but what turns me off about this figure is the mechanical arm that has the reds, which doesn't necessarily look as appealing, but the reds do pop on the chest piece, because if you look at the artwork for the Cobra Island Major Blood, he does have like the reds that were more vibrant and sticking out, and that's what people were painting on the Cobra Island one because they wanted it to look like the artwork, and the artwork had the reds like seeping through, and the figure didn't really have that. So now they actually made it more accurate to the artwork with the reds on the torso piece sticking out. And the head sculpt is again fantastic, but it's one of those figures where they were so close of giving people a chance to get a Major Blood that they didn't have, but because of that arm, and not really sure, but it's like a missed opportunity, and it kind of makes me say, you know what, you guys are probably better off buying the Cobra Island one instead of getting this one. Now, however, if this version actually had the other mechanical arm where it's like more of the gray, or even if it's black but at least with the gray, and even if the color pants were brighter, I would have said, you know, this is an instant buy if you missed it. But I think this figure is not drastic enough of a change. It's not one of those figures that says, okay, this is better than the Cobra Island one. I think it's a step down from the Cobra Island version. Therefore, I would personally say invest in the Cobra Island version, and then, or you can wait and see what the purpose for the reds are for this one, at least with the arms. Because as you guys know, I like doing my comparisons, so you know I wouldn't let you guys down. Bam! So there we have the comparisons of both Major Bloods, and now you guys can let me know what do you think is more superior, because based on the I mean, I'll probably do another comparison later once we get like an actual toy photography for it, but don't be fooled by the lighting on the right figure, because it's actually a lot darker than it is. This is just, I think the photography just made it look more vibrant or lighter brown, but yeah, so you can see that I believe he has different knee pads. They're not as detailed. I think they are the same boots, it's just they look more black than the silver, like the silver glossier, I suppose. Belt, pants, the holsters all roughly look the same. It looks like he has like a green patch on his left arm. Maybe I'm wrong, it could be the lighting, but it looks like there's something green that's kind of seeping on the left arm. So not sure what's up with that, but so you can see how the torso piece is literally all the same scratches in the same spot, same head sculpt, same white highlight to kind of give it like a skunk look. And then yeah, it's just the arms and the reds that are peeping through the chest armor that kind of. So you know what I personally would do if I were to get this version of Major Blood on the left, I would easily swap out the torso piece or the chest piece and then put it on the Cobra Island one, and then that would probably be like the ultimate Major Blood. Alright, so now I'm so behind on the chat. Let me see what's happening. Rachel says, I can see a retro Major Blood in the future. I agree. Rocky says, I really thought they were going for a new design rather than having a robotic arm. Yeah, I mean, I thought it was going to be more like, kind of like the O-ring version or even the cartoon one. So that means because this is kind of a disappointment to an extent, it's one of those things where, okay, we still have 2 more versions to kind of anticipate for. Roland Mac says, pass if you have the OG. Ralph says, is this the helmet? Is the helmet the same? Kind of looks like a trooper helmet. I believe the helmets are the same. Nerd Alert says, they often succeed in getting us to buy the same figure before we actually buy the one we want. I mean, that's the Hasbro gimmick, right? It's kind of like you just live in FOMO kind of thing. Benedict says, I like it. Makes me want to buy the 788 Fire Team. I mean, if their goal is to utilize this with the 788 Fire Team, then I'll be damned. I'll be like, okay, that's well played, but that's only if people have the 788 Fire Team, because if you don't, then I don't know. Then this would easily be a pass for me. Now, oh, so another thing is the Cobra Island one also is the quality in plastic and the quality in that figure is also superior. I don't know if this new Major Blood figure is a step down in quality in terms of gooiness or rubbery legs or torso. So that's another thing to kind of keep note of. If you prefer like a sturdier quality or plastic for classified, then I still would suggest to kind of find a way to invest in the Cobra Island version, because that's when their quality and figures were actually a lot superior compared to where most were in the middle of the past like 2.5 years. Chad Kinsler, welcome to the chat. Soundwave 8177 says Cobra Island for sure. I agree. Etok says, I had Major Blood when he first came out in the O-ring. I still have him. So awesome. He was the best as a kid. True. There's also a Major Blood that came out in the G.I. Joe line from 2000 or 2001 where he had a bunch of silver grenades like sticking out of his body. So that's actually one of my favorite Major Blood figures. That's the one I have in my collection for my O-rings, so maybe they might make that one too. And then there's also the Python Patrol Major Blood that came in a 6-pack, which was a Toys R Us exclusive back in the day. Nerd Alert says, if his eyes are anything like a lot of these new ones, then maybe. Ultra says he stole his arms from an Action Force Crimson Shadow Praetorian. See, there you go. You can all mix and match. Chad says, I'm just glad they released it so many people didn't get a chance to get it, so I'm not complaining. Yeah, I mean, that's really the positive aspect of this entire figure, is for those who either can't afford the Cobra Island one or can't find it for a reasonable price or just want to get a Major Blood and want to have like an alternative, then again, this is 100% a valid purchase. It's just, if you really want a definitive or like a one that looks really good, then you know, unless there's a way to really like mix and match and swap armor pieces and stuff like that, then you know, you can really just do it like how the O-rings did back in the day and just like break this figure apart and just kind of like swap parts and stuff. Ralph says, I thought this was going to be the retro version. I'll definitely wait. I mean, I think a lot of us thought it was going to be retro. I mean, even though it said like mainline, but when I say retro, I mean like it was going to be more of the cartoon colors, I suppose. Less tears for scalpers to drink, says Totsi. Totsi is clapping back at scalpers. Nerd Alert says 788 is worth it. I might pick up a second. You can swap all those heads. Decent weapons. That's true, especially if you have the his tank and then the the Techno Viper with the HMS or SMS, whatever that's called. Zoran the Barbarian says start from the beginning. Oh boy. Well, what I mean is can't afford, as in sometimes people don't want to go on eBay and spend a hefty amount for one figure. So by can't affording, meaning you don't want to spend, you know, money on a, like, let's say Cobra Island would be like $80. It's like, why would you, some people would be like, I don't want to spend $80 on a Major Blood from eBay plus shipping when I can buy a, like, say $25 figure from like Target or from Hasbro Pulse. So that's what I mean by can't afford. I don't actually mean like people don't have the money. Everyone has the money to buy it. It's just you have the means to spending it more or not. That red looks good, says Benedict, with capital letters. Chad Kensler says, wonder what the Cobra Island one is going on for. Honestly don't know, but we should look at it at some point. So yeah, so there we have it. That is Major Blood. Supposedly the mainline release for again, so based on the entire comments on the chat right now, shout out to everybody in the chat. I believe this was more of a disappointment rather than a happy reveal, but more so positive in the sense that people who didn't have them in the first run can now get them again, or get them this time around. Vil the Great did make a major valid point, because he did state that the tariffs go into effect, I believe he said tonight. So chances are these classified figures might be more expensive, or the prices might be raised up a lot more starting tonight. So chances are we might not see a $25 figure. Maybe this will be like $27. Who knows? Only time will tell what the prices are going to be for the next latest waves of pre-orders moving forward, because we've already seen the price increase on Big Bad Toy Store, where they raised their prices roughly by like $10 extra, and then plus their shipping. Hasbro Pulse thankfully is still in that same realm of keeping their prices at what they're initially known for, but all the other markets that are selling it right now, the other retailers, they're boosting up their prices. I mean, McFarlane Toys has already announced he's raising his prices, and that was from the initial $20, because he used to be $20 and now he's already at the I don't know, so he's already at the 30 mark, charging same prices for like NECA figures. Big Bad Toy Store is charging $27 okay, so Big Bad Toy Store is doing $28. But yeah, Greg says $28. Damn. I mean, it does suck though, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see on April 15th on what the new prices will be at this point. But alright, so that was Major Blood. I guess we'll come back to Major Blood in a future live stream when we talk about, when we see actual more official product shots, and then we'll do more of a comparison with both figures, and then we'll probably see what Hasbro has to say about it in terms of what the purpose for the red arm is. If it is a 788 homage, then that'd be interesting. If not, then oh boy. Ultra says, hold on to your Big Bad Toy Store pre-orders. If you order them early enough, they'll ship at the original price. Okay, that's good to know. Hurricane says, it's Gree taking advantage of a post-crisis that hasn't even hit yet. Ooh. Alright, so let's move on from Major Blood. I guess most of the chat has agreed that this figure is... it's mixed reactions. Greg Archer says, I can afford scalper prices, but refuse unless it's something I have to have, like Haya Storm Shadow. I just paid $277 for. Holy crap. Bro, you paid $277 for a Hayatoy's Storm Shadow? Bruh. Oh man. Well, I mean, that's the only Storm Shadow that's from the Operation Blackout video game with the tattoos on his sleeve with the Batman gauntlets. So yeah, makes sense, I guess. All right, so let's move on from Major Blood, and now let's get into the main excitement that everyone is probably excited for, hopefully. But before we get to this the main figure, please go ahead and like this video. If you're new, please do subscribe as well. That would really help the channel grow. Let's see, I think we're at like 44 likes. If we can get to 50 likes on this video, that would be freaking awesome. I think the goal for tonight's stream will be 50 likes. If we can hit 50, that'd be awesome. So everybody do your thing if you haven't done so already. I mean, to be honest, I don't even know what the prices were for the Hayatoys. I never really looked at the prices for them because when I found out that they were more like overseas purchases, I just knew that it was automatically going to be probably expensive. But I guess, I mean, as long as the figure is cool, then, it is what it is. All right, so now, as Russell Terrell says, hit that like button. All right, and now the main event. We have none other than the Armored Cobra Commander. Dios mío. Alright, I'm gonna see what you guys have to say about this figure first, and then I'll weigh in my thoughts. So go ahead and share your excitement or disappointment, whatever you think is good. Oh, Mr. Sampson has joined the chat. He says, Armored Cobra Commander is one of the last classified figures I will buy. Price gouging and fatigue have hit for this line, just waiting on sci-fi. I 100% agree with you, brother. I'm with you on that one. Greg Archer says, I want all the Hayas, so I gotta pay up $20 originally, now $25 free shipping. Oh, I see. I mean, as long as you enjoy them, then like that's awesome. Vil the Great with the spark emojis and the fist in the air. Etok says, can't wait for this one. Benedict is, that price for a range viper pisses me off. 119 on Walmart is insane. I mean, that's probably a third-party seller. I don't think it's actual Walmart. Check on the right on the website. It should tell you who the seller is. If it doesn't say Walmart, then it's a third-party seller. Ultra says, I'm too old school, just not about it. That's a valid point. Vil says, damn, I may get him after all. F. Ionic says, legit. Greg says, dope. Benedict says, need it. Rachel says, Armor Coco, maybe not. Serpenter Iguana, maybe. Ooh, Rachel is ignoring the Cobra Commander, but is aiming for the Iguana. I mean, I know it's just a render, but it doesn't even look like the Iguana is articulated. We might get a similar poly situation, or like that monkey that came with Nagahide that's not articulated. If this Iguana doesn't move by any means, then that kind of sucks. Russell says, in the 80s, this was sort of an after my time, but yep, I'm down for this one. Benedict says he comes with a new friend or meal for Fiona. Oh shit, yeah. Zoran says, I agree, this entire line should be available at mass retail and on clearance. Hasbro ruined this line for me with exclusives. I mean, the exclusives are definitely what builds the hype and momentum for sure. And the FOMO. Etalk says, had him in the O-ring, might be revealing my age. Not at all, brother. Soundwave says, getting 2. Coco needs more spikes. He looks like a kid in a Halloween costume. You know what it's time for. Alright. You guys know I've always come prepared. So, in 2001 or 2002, G.I. Joe came out with their O-ring line, or revamp, suppose, for where I would see massive stores at figures at KB Toys and Toys R Us. So this was my first introduction to the Armored Cobra Commander, which was part of the what do you call it, the 2000 era versions. And then we have the original Cobra Commander. Hopefully if this piece of crap actually focuses. But we have the teal version, and then we have like the dark blue version. So honestly, I think both versions, it's not gonna focus. Let me get out of the way. How do I okay. Both versions are good in their own way, and this is one of the reasons why I loved the Armored Cobra Commander, simply because I loved the color scheme and the bulkiness design to it. But yeah, so this is the 2000, no, sorry, this is the 2000 whatever version, and this is the original. But based on what we see here on this version, focus, dummy. It's not focusing. I don't know what. But so my issue with that Cobra Commander that we see here is that it seems like the spikes on his shoulders might be a little bit different. It seems like the design piece for his torso is a bit different as well. And then, I mean, he does have the red holster, which is cool, and then the legs and all that stuff is roughly fine, but there's something about this O-ring version that still looks fantastic. I mean, I do like the head sculpt on the classified one, but there's something about the torso that looks off compared to how this one is in the O-ring version. So that's one of those things where it's like, well, you know, I guess it is what it is. Let's see here. Let's read the chat. Corey Robinson, welcome to the chat, says, I definitely have to get this one. Hurricane says he should be big. It's power armor. That's true. Zed Burns says, I'm late. All good, brother. It's a third-party seller. I got the Paratrooper for 30. Overseas taking over. Greg makes a valid point. He should have come with a Fred head, which only means maybe he probably will. I mean, who knows? It's a badass Halloween costume. Russell says still waiting for the hooded version, but we know Hasbro won't do that. He's just too Star Wars and Battlestar Galactica looking. I have the comic 2-pack version, Iron Man, Cobra Commander. I will grab him a bit. The Cobra Commander laid Baroness in the comics. Oh, bro, that's crazy. Rachel says, anybody remember the Cobra Imperial Procession 6-pack? The Imperial Guards were red and gold battle armor with a range Viper helmet. I hope we get Imperial Guards. Was that the red? Was that the 6-pack with the red Cobra commit? Yeah, I mean, you did say red and gold armor. So, but did that have Baroness and I think Tomax and Zama, or did that just have the army builders? I don't remember. All right, Etalk, thank you so much, brother. But so for those who you know, who didn't watch the Deke series and has no affiliation to it, or have no idea, like, at least in the cartoon wise, what the inspiration for this figure was. So in the 1987 G.I. Joe movie, we saw that Cobra Law came, and then they pissed off Cobra Commander, and then they shoved his head into a spore pod. He became the snake, aka he was slowly transforming into the snake, aka the once-a-man Cobra Commander. And then by the end of the movie, he turns into a full snake, and then he basically just disappears and dips. However, in the Deke series, what ends up happening is it continues off from the 1987 movie, and then we have Cobra Commander, who's still a snake, but he's trapped inside a little glass like orb, because Serpentor basically he basically uses Cobra Commander as a pet, and Serpentor just, you know, comes back and wants to wreak havoc on G.I. Joe again. So Baroness and Naugahyde get this little moose head skull, and they revive Cobra Commander because they don't like the way Serpentor is doing things. And then Cobra Commander basically comes back as his once-a-man form, roughly, and then he basically has an altercation with monkeys, and then he grabs like their cloth or whatever and like covers himself up. And then what ends up happening was, once they capture Serpentor, Cobra Commander utilizes this machine and converts Serpentor into an iguana. And then, thanks to Copperhead, who just happened to have a brand new set of armor laying around in his moccasin, he just basically gave Cobra Commander this new set of armor, and that's how this armor version was born. Now, the thing that why we have the alternate head sculpt that we see right here is, in the cartoon, he has the once-a-man Cobra Commander head sculpt, but as soon as he puts the helmet on, you would assume that he would have the original green, you know, like the snake eyes with the green scale and skin, but it automatically somehow turns his eyes, or like his head, white. So kind of inconsistent, but funny at the same time, because they didn't really probably think that through. So that's the slight background for the armored Cobra Commander. So overall, it's one of my favorites. It's just, I don't know exactly if I want this figure just yet. I might hold off on it for now, but at some point, because it's very nostalgic to me. And again, for those that are just joining the stream, you know, I have both of these here already, so it's like I don't necessarily need the classified version because I love my O-rings, but for now, I'm just gonna play the waiting game and just see how, you know, this figure turns out. Benedict says we need a red Cobra Commander. I'm sure they will at some point. Russell Terrell says, as much as I don't really care for any Cobra Law, I would not mind seeing the Cobra Law soldiers that kept making those eerie screams. Yeah, the Royal Guards. But yeah, so when it comes to Cobra Commanders at that point, so we can all pretty much agree that a lot of you are roughly excited and will cop this figure, because even though some don't have an attachment to it, it might still be a cool figure. And Benedict says Copperhead was a real one for staying loyal to Cobra Commander. That's actually true, because Cobra Commander actually honors him in the cartoon by transforming his uniform into Python Patrol. And I think he basically said, you're the leader of Python Patrol. So that was actually really awesome. Now, the really cool thing here I do want to show is, for those that are completionists here in the classified line, you guys know I love doing my graphics. So, bam. I hope I'm not forgetting anyone, but here we have all the Cobra Commanders that are in the classified line right now. So we have the the San Diego Comic-Con was it the Comic-Con exclusive? Maybe it was. I don't remember which year though. We have the Snake Supreme Cobra Commander. We have the original Operation Blackout version Cobra Commander. We have the HasLab His Tank Cobra Commander with the distorted Mickey Mouse logo. And of course the newly revealed Armored Cobra Commander. And then we have the Retro Cobra Commander that's more cartoon accurate with the vac metal faceplate. And then we have the Comic-Con exclusive Once a Man Cobra Commander seen from the movie. And then we have the lighter blue version Cobra Commander, like the Operation Blackout video game version, but just lighter blue like the original first release from the classified series. So as you can see, we still haven't gotten the Hood Cobra Commander. But if not mistaken, in the comics there still showed a hooded version, but it kind of was more like a mask rather than a hood, so maybe we might get that version instead. Snow Glare is yelling out Cobra. Mr. Samson says la 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 la. Chad says I used that red hooded character coming out from Monster Force for my red Cobra Commander. Yeah, the one from the what was it? The Order of the Crimson Moon or something like that. Whatever that's called, I forgot. Greg Archer says I missed out on the Snake Supreme and light blue one. I mean, do you still plan on getting it? Because granted that those designs were from the video game, it's one of those things where I don't even know what the value in the aftermarket is for the first 3 Cobra Commanders, because they are such a departure and update from what Cobra Commander is now that you can kind of see where classified is heading, because look at the last 2 Cobra Commanders on the left and then that blue one all the way on the right. There was something very interesting and different about those 3 where it had like a brand new feel to Cobra Commander, despite a lot of people not saying like, oh, it's not the classy one that I got. But they deviated away from those styles and are now giving us the 4 figures that we see in the front. And I think that's obviously that's where classified is heading, but it just looks way too basic compared to what we see on the one on the left and right, like the far right. So my personal opinion is I would have loved to have, you know, these helmeted versions and whatever, like the ones we see in the front, the first 3 in the front, but still have like some type of modern update to them that still gives us that classy look, but something more traditional, I suppose. I don't know, kind of like both at the same time, however, if that's even possible. Also, I just checked right now. Thank you guys for the 50 likes on the stream. We have reached tonight's goal, so I really do appreciate that. Thank you guys so much for that. But yeah, I don't know how many, I mean, if you go on yojo.com, there's about, gosh, I don't know, like 40 versions of Cobra Commander. Therefore, there's not that many Cobra Commanders left if you check out yojo.com. There's, I think at this point, these are roughly all the main ones they've gunned out, aside from all the hooded ones. And then you have the ones from like Spy Troops and Valor versus Venom. You know, we have the black Cobra Commander. Then we have the, there's the red one, and of course, so we still have a few, but there's not that many left. So I think they might like make Cobra Commander rest in peace at some point. So, because they've already, like I said, they knocked out most of all the main important ones. So we'll see what happens from there. So in last but not least, because since we'll get back to Cobra Commander at another point once we get the official product shots and stuff like that. Now, last but not least, I do want to share for those that are excited for April 15th. These are all the G.I. Joe classified figures we have so far. Obviously, all of these are not obviously it's, hold on. Oh ho, ladies and gentlemen, breaking news, breaking news. Courtesy of JCon over on Facebook, he just leaked out Sergeant Slaughter prototype. Hold up. So I'm not going to be posting the Sergeant Slaughter leak here, but let's talk about it real quickly. Wow, okay, hold on. Alright then, so based on the image of the Sergeant Slaughter leak that I'm looking at right now, he has a different head sculpt. He has a different beret, very similar to Falcon's. Glasses different. He has like an alternate head sculpt with his regular Sarge's hat. The prototype is all in muggy brownish mustard colors, so you can't really tell the color scheme, but it's not the tank top that we're all expecting. It's actually a button down half sleeve shirt. So, and he does have a dog tag, or sorry, that's the whistle, and he has a bunch of pouches and zippers and stuff. So okay. All right, everybody look at the screen right now, because I'm not going to post it on my, I'm not going to post it here, but take a look at it on the screen. This is from JCon. Here is the Sergeant Slaughter leak. So you can see here we have like a different type of head sculpt with the beret, and then we got the other head sculpt, and then the vest and stuff like that. So, and the whistle, and I guess this kind of makes sense as to this version being part of the Mercer 2-pack. So it makes sense now. So now the only thing is we just need to see what the actual color scheme for this figure is. So wow, very cool. Some breaking news right on the live stream. That's so I guess this Slaughter is kind of worth it after all. Oh shit. What are we gonna do? So yeah, which only means if the leak is already out for Sergeant Slaughter, that just means that the pre-order probably isn't too far away. Because again, we already had the Mercer torso leak, which only means that the the 2-pack is probably a lot closer than it seems, which is pretty insane. But we'll come back to that Sergeant Slaughter obviously once we get more in another live stream, and then I'm sure there's going to be more photos coming down the line. But as of April 15th, we have apparently the Cobra Claw and the Snake Eyes version 4 figure is supposedly going up for pre-order, as I think it says on the G.I. Joe post on the socials. So I guess those are the only two. Well, yeah, I think those are the only two. But I mean, it says April 15th for Cobra Claw. For Snake Eyes, it just says, you know, come check us out, like if you want to add more figures to your collection, whatever. So I'm assuming that's also the 15th as well. However, we still have the San Diego Comic-Con 4-pack, which is the Cold Slither 4-pack box set. And of course, on this stream, we just talked about Monkeywrench, Cobra Commander, Armored, and Major Blood Witch. I don't know at the moment if those 3 are also going up for pre-order on April 15th, but we will definitely try to, you know, figure it out. And then we have the Slice and Dice 2-pack, which of course I'm going to be pre-ordering because I'm a sucker for ninjas. I definitely want those, but not sure when those will come out. Then we have the GREENSHIRT Army Builder, which is part of the retro, one of the last retro figures of the year, alongside the retro bat with the red visor. Again, these two, these two will be the last 2 figures. Yeah, the last 2 figures to complete out the retro wave. Then we have Hawk with the MMS with the blonde hair, which is good for people that want to collect the OG 13 figures. And then we have CRANKCASE with the Awe Striker. That figure is estimated to be $100, so we will wait for that one to come at some point. And last but not least, we have the HasLab Rattler with Wild Weasel, and then the Gunner and Baroness, and the patches. So this is basically all of the figures that we have coming out so far, or at least figures that we know that are coming soon. And of course, we will definitely add in that Sergeant Slaughter leak to the next live stream because, yeah, I don't want to post the leaks right now on this channel. But Vil says, is Hawk's head and hands detachable? I don't know about the head, but I think the hands it does have removable hands. V. Anderson, welcome to the chat, says, what about the Baroness? Yeah, Baroness with the HasLab Rattler and then that Gunner figure. I just didn't put them in there because I was running out of space, but those 2 are definitely included. So, yeah, I'm at, I think in the next updated live stream, or even my next update video for Classified, everything we know so far, I think a good few of these, because we can already knock out the Cobra Claw and then Snake Eyes and then the 4 Comic-Con exclusive figures, and then probably Monkeywrench Armored and Major Blood for this April 15th pre-order, and then we'll have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and about 7 figures left, and then minus the 3 for the HasLab Rattler, and then the last 2 retros for the end of the year, and then we'll be basically left with the Slice and Dice 2-pack, the Hawk with the MMS, and CRANKCASE. So that's basically like 4 figures left at this point. Not sure when they're going to go up for pre-order. So I think right now Hasbro really has to, they're going to have to double down on some renders and some name reveals, because a lot of these are kind of like, will be up for pre-order. And then, oh shit, we also have Yojo June coming soon. So that's like freaking 3. Last year it was 3 weeks of constant pre-orders. Therefore, this Yojo June maybe will have another 3 weeks of pre-order. So good chance that these figures will be out there as well. So yeah, that's pretty cool stuff. Rachel says, that's a beautiful lineup, but she loves me some ninjas. Hell yeah, ninjas are awesome. Yeah, I mean, I think this lineup has some hits, some misses, some figures that, you know, define exclusive, some figures that people don't really need, and some that are definitely wants in the collection. So I think at least within 2025, the Hasbro team, or the G.I. Joe team, has kind of gave us figures or options enough for us to choose, rather than, if this was a whole list of figures that everybody wanted, we would all be like suffering from withdrawals and like money. But because this whole list is kind of like, you know, you got some Deke series, you got some cartoon, you got some deep cuts, it's like, you know, half of these figures aren't really going to be purchased by a lot of collectors. But, you know, again, if you're a completist, then you're kind of screwed. So we'll see what happens after that. Hollinette says, what? Ninja Force Scarlet? Where do you see Ninja Force Scarlet? Mr. Sampson says, I only want like 4 of them. I think Hasbro will finally start seeing sales drop. Yeah, I think I see that coming as well, only because and it kind of shows, right? A lot of collectors aren't really into the Deke series. A lot of collectors only want the original 13. A lot of collectors only want the figures that were in the cartoon, and some of them are just buying the ones that they grew up with. So again, unless you're like a completionist and you want like every classified figure, that's a different story. But for those that are really just being selective, like this list already tells you like half of these figures aren't going to be purchased by everybody. Like we can already tell that the San Diego Comic-Con exclusives of the 4-pack Cold Slither, of course it's going to sell out. There's no doubt about it, but it's just one of those things where it's okay if you don't have it, because again, it's a deep cut and not necessarily something that I guess people are gonna go crazy about, but again, it just depends on what type of collector you are in general. But other than that, I think tonight's highlight of the stream was talking about the Sergeant Slaughter leak that just came out of nowhere from JCon, so really cool. Other than that, I think that pretty much concludes tonight's stream. So with that being said, now I don't know when the next live stream will be, because who knows what's going to happen at this point. Renard Brown says, I want to hit and run Big Lob, Sparks, Hardball, and Iceberg. Ooh, hit and run would be really cool, and Big Lob. Completionist is a worse disease than an army building. Yeah, I'm actually... no, because if you're a completionist, you're basically getting maybe 1 to 2, or maybe at least 2 of each of every figure, and then you're pretty much done. But army building, you're getting like 50, like at least, you know, 10 to 30 of the same character over and over. So I think army building is probably worse than being a completionist. Well, other than that, I think I will wrap it up here. So with that being said, thank you guys all for joining tonight's stream. Thank you for all the likes, and to everybody that is in the chat for tonight. I don't know when the next live stream will be, but definitely stay tuned to stay notified, because with that Sergeant Slaughter leak, I'm sure a lot more stuff is about to be coming out soon, so stay tuned for that. If you're new to the channel, make sure you're subscribed, and please like this video as well. So therefore, shout out to everybody that was in the chat tonight. Thank you, Ivan Sanchez. Appreciate you for joining. And hopefully we'll have a more bit of a discussion for April 15th, and then we'll definitely have more live streams coming down in the future. Definitely Bat Frostbite and Battle Force 2000. Hell yeah. So thank you guys all for watching. Have a great night, and definitely see you on the live stream on April 15th. But for now, whatever leaks will come out, I'll definitely do a stream somewhere, and we'll see what happens in between that time. So till then, I will see you all in the next live stream. Enjoy collecting. Have a great weekend or week, and hopefully Classified should have some crazy updates. And stay tuned for a SHARKNEWZ video in the next day, all week. I'll be pumping out a lot of videos. So thank you all again for joining. See you all then, and have a great, beautiful night.